So I'm going to record this just for fun. I haven't seen myself do one of these yet.
Does that mean we need to be on our best behavior?
Absolutely not.
Yes, we should all go get dressed.
I'm out.
You don't have to be wearing pants.
Yeah, you got to put pants on now. You're going to be videos.
Just don't stand up if you're not wearing pants. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I think everybody's here, right, Lydia?
We're close.
We're Carolyn Castro. Sorry, I know the names don't match.
I don't have a list anyway, so.
Oh, no, great.
I just heard it was going to be 15 or 16, and let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12. That looks like 15, right?
Yeah, we're doing good. Let's do this.
Lauren, do you like my wine glass? I bought it at your store last summer.
Oh, I love that.
17. I already have more.
17 out of
So I'm going to go ahead and can y'all all mute yourselves so we don't get background noise? And then if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and ask. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, you can also just hit your space bar.
To unmute yourself. Yes.
I did not know that, too.
You're a professor.
I needed to know that for work. Thanks.
I know, same, thank you.
So, like I was saying, my name's Alicia, and I am the National Sales Manager for Elizabeth Spencer Winery. We're a small property in Napa. Our tasting room's in Rutherford in the old post office. I think we have one person that's been there. This is a picture of it. It's beautiful. We have a gorgeous courtyard, and hopefully we'll be able to open up again in the next couple of weeks. July 1st is kind of a date we're looking at, but hopefully it'll be earlier. The other thing you need to know about Elizabeth Spencer Winery is that it's two people. That's Elizabeth and that's Spencer, and they're married to each other. They both have background in the wine business. Spencer used to own a wine distributor in the Virginia area, and Elizabeth was doing marketing for wineries in Napa, and this was in the late 80s, early 90s. And when they met, Spencer sold his distributor, moved to California, and they started making wine together in 1998. So y'all have 3 wines with you. I see them on the table at Julie's house. The first wine that we're going to taste tonight is a Sauvignon Blanc. That's the one with the screw cap, easy access. There you go. So this one is our most popular wine. This is the one we make the most of. I think it's delicious. I think it's it goes with a lot of different foods, and don't have to have food with this. It goes well with a lot of different settings, like the porch or the boat or the beach or the lake or the river. This wine, it comes from 3 vineyard sources in Mendocino. Mendocino is a little bit north of Napa, so Northern California, and inland in a mountainous region. These vineyards are mostly in the Talmadge Bench area, which has rocky soil. That's going to add to the minerality of the wine. The Sauvignon Blanc also, those vineyards are organically grown. If you look at the back of the bottle, see that square that has really tiny writing? It says CCOF, which is California Certified Organic Farmers. So it's a farming certification. This wine has always been made this way. The first vineyard that we started using for this wine, her name is Norma Gibson. That's who we get most of these grapes from. She's kind of an organic pioneer in the Mendocino Valley. We started working with her in 2005, making Sauvignon Blanc, and have made it ever since. This wine is aged on the lees, which just means it gets a little bit of skin contact. So that gives it a little bit of roundness. If you'll notice, the acidity is a little more lemon lime, not grapefruit. I prefer this style. I like the roundness. I like the body. I like the citrus. When we try the next wine, the Chenin Blanc, you'll see that has more minerality to it. So if you don't know what that word means or what that tastes like, you'll taste it more in the next wine. It's a good seafood wine. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I love this wine, especially the price point. So I don't remember what our price is in Illinois for this, but it's a really affordable, high quality Sauvignon Blanc. You should all own a case of this. When your family come over, open a bottle. It's a
So
swing
y'all are eating this with, I think, a cheese and charcuterie board. Do you have, is there a goat cheese, or is there like a soft tangy cheese on there? Or I kind of like this wine with a, it looks like brie, the fattiness of the brie, the acidity in the wine would cut through the fattiness of the brie. Do you have any pate on that plate? I like this wine with chicken liver pate, or even fried chicken livers. We have those down here a lot. Not sure that's a big thing up in your area.
I don't think there's pate on their plates. We have a Cambozola, which is perfect with this wine. It's a combination of Camembert and Gorgonzola. It's really spectacular. But that's a South Carolina plate.
Cool. So we'll go ahead and move on to the Chenin Blanc. Chenin Blanc is the other white wine that has a cork in it. If you'll notice, on the front of that label, you'll see it says 14 barrels produced. A barrel's about 25 cases. So that's how many cases we produce of this wine. So very small production. We don't put the number of barrels on our Sauvignon Blanc bottle because we do make a good bit more of that. And we don't want people to think that the Sauvignon Blanc is oak aged. The Chenin Blanc is partially barrel fermented, so that's where that comes from on that label. This Chenin Blanc comes from a vineyard that's in Mendocino again, that Talmadge Bench area, that rocky soil. It's a vineyard that's an old vineyard, about 40 years old, and it's a hillside vineyard, which is unusual because normally red wines are on a hillside and red wines are older vines. So what that does for the wine, the older vines, it gives it a little more complexity. Do you see what I mean by that minerality that comes from the rocky soil, and it's a trait indicative of Chenin Blanc? So if you've ever licked a rock, or sometimes it reminds me of right after it rains or right before it rains, that kind of earthy, clean smell. The Chenin Blanc is a grape varietal that's from the Loire Valley in France. It can be a varietal that's either sweet or dry or still or sparkling or anywhere in between. Ours is a dry style and obviously still. This is a wine we make because Spencer and Elizabeth like to drink this style of wine, so that's one reason we make it. Also, it's real popular with the sommelier community because it's so interesting. They like it as well, so it's kind of our little fun play wine. I love this wine. It's a great oyster wine, and again, I don't always need food with this. I can have it on the porch, or you know, it's cool to drink this next to like a babbling brook or a river that's got some rocks in it, because that minerality does come out a little bit more. I know that sounds stupid, but.
So have they always made the Chenin Blanc?
We've been making Chenin Blanc since 2005, I believe, the same year as the Chenin Blanc. It hasn't always been available nationwide. It has been for the past 4 years. Normally this wine was just sold in the tasting room, but now we sell it through our distributors.
A little weaker.
Any questions about Chenin Blanc? Anybody had any other styles of Chenin Blanc, a sparkling or a sweet Chenin Blanc?
I have a story about Chenin Blanc. So one of our most favorite Chenin Blancs is from Chapelet.
Yes.
And Dom and Molly Chapelet went to Napa 55 years ago. And one of the grapes they planted was Chenin Blanc, and they still make it today. And Molly is still alive. Dom is now passed on. But the story is the children who now own and run the winery are going to stop making Chenin Blanc at Chapelet when Molly goes on. So they are almost waiting for her to leave so they can make Cabernet on the 40 acres or so left that they're making Chenin Blanc today. So another Napa Chenin Blanc story.
So our Chenin Blanc has kind of a similar story. Spencer was driving through Mendocino and he saw this Chenin Blanc in a cool old vineyard on the side of the hill. And he stopped and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, what are y'all doing with that Chenin Blanc over there?" And they said, "Oh, you know, we're going to rip it up and plant red wine because, you know, this is a hillside vineyard and we're Mendocino, so we're going to plant Zinfandel or Cabernet." And he said, "Well, what if I buy it and I'll make Chenin Blanc?" And they reached a deal so the vineyard wouldn't have the added cost of ripping the vineyard up and planting new grapes. So that's how our Chenin Blanc came about. Anybody ready for Pinot Noir? I had to check my notes. So
We are.
Oh, good. It's
On
hard to
Keel
talk.
Island, we're ready for red.
It's hard to talk when nobody's talking back to you. So the Pinot Noir comes from a vineyard that's at the bottom of the Sonoma coast. This vineyard is in the Petaluma Gap area. Petaluma Gap is a new AVA for Sonoma Coast. If you look at the bottle, ours does say Sonoma Coast. And if you look at the barrel count on that, it says 10 barrels. This is our smallest production for our wholesale wines. So 10 barrels is about 250 cases. So very small production. This vineyard is on the Petaluma River, just by the San Pablo Bay. So 2 cooling sources. Cheers, Lauren. That builds acidity in the wine. So that makes it, it's gonna make it a food-friendly wine. These wines, the grapes are, I forgot the clone, I'll tell you that. Oh, Dijon and Pommard clone, sorry, I went blank. Dijon and Pommard clone, and that contributes to the body of the wine. So this is gonna be a bigger style Pinot Noir with good acidity. We do use older French oak barrels to age this wine. So there's, the barrels don't really impart any flavor, really adds more to the body of the wine. This wine has a really cool spice to it. It has really neat kind of dark strawberry, dark cherry flavors. This wine is, I think, is perfect with duck. It should go with a lot of your charcuterie that you have on your plate there, and maybe one of the heavier cheeses.
Yes, it does.
It's great. I really like the Pinot. There's more to it than, it's not thin or weak.
Correct. We did that on purpose.
Well, you did it right.
Thank you. So I can tell y'all a little bit about Sarah, our winemaker. She grew up in the South, like a lot of us at Elizabeth Spencer did. She's grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and then moved to New Orleans as a teenager. She moved to California to work for a natural winemaker. 2 weeks after she moved to California to see if she wanted to be in the wine business and learn how to make wine, Katrina hit and she couldn't go home. So she stayed. She ended up meeting her husband. She's worked for several properties around Napa. She worked for the Stagecoach Vineyard, which is a very famous Napa Cabernet vineyard. She worked for a winery called the Krupp Brothers. She worked with Robert Sinsky for a little while, and she's been with us for about 10 years. Spencer is our director of winemaking, and then Sarah, I like to say Sarah actually stomps the grapes. But Spencer and Sarah have the same kind of winemaking philosophy. We don't want to do a lot of stuff to the wine. So basically we just harvest, crush, ferment, age in barrel if we're going to. We do make a rosé that we just kind of crush and ferment and pretty much put into a bottle and release it.
And it's absolutely the best. It's very yummy.
It is. That one's my favorite. I'm surprised I'm not drinking that one tonight. But so very light hand on the stuff to the grapes after they're harvested. We really do want the sense of place to come through in these wines, and I think they do. I mean, you can tell the Sauvignon Blanc is American. You can tell it's Mendocino. It's not overblown. The Chenin Blanc is so delicate. It's I think these wines are also very true to the varietal. You can smell it and taste it and kind of tell what it is if you're familiar with the varietals. That's a game us wine geeks like to play. Can you guess what this is? All right, unmute yourselves and talk. We've got about 5 or 10 minutes left.
Alicia, are you a sommelier?
I am not. I got in this business about 25 years ago, and that wasn't a thing back then. There weren't even any wine classes. I think I took like a continuing ed class at the technical school with a bunch of old people. That was in the early 90s.
It's good.
What
So,
other?
Alicia, I have a question. What's the total production all in of Elizabeth Spencer?
So it kind of depends on the year. Typically, like if things are going good, about 20,000 cases total, and I sell about 10 through our wholesale channel. This year it's going to be less just because we're trying to keep costs down. You know, we're a small business like a lot of places in this country. And so we're, you know, glass costs a lot of money, bottling line costs a lot of money. So we're just perils. So we're trying to keep our costs down, and our production is going to be lower on some of the wines that we have a little more flexibility with.
This makes me excited for my case that's coming next week for my membership.
Nice. Yeah, I saw those orders going out today.
Did you talk about the membership at the beginning? I'm sorry. Like how we could sign up?
I didn't, but I can a little bit. So we sell different wines through our wine club. Those are typically more expensive, they're bigger style wines. They're a lot smaller production. We have a couple of different levels, and I don't know the levels. Since we've been kind of on lockdown, and I haven't been traveling very much, I have been making some calls out to our wine club members, so I'm learning a little bit more about it. But I really do like the wines that I sell to our wholesale partners. I think they're the right price, and I think they're the right flavor profile. And I think they're all very food friendly. But if you can check the website out to get more information about the wine club, I just don't know enough details about it until
That's fine, thank you. But yes, you're right. They are very crowd friendly. These were delicious. All 3 of them were amazing.
Yeah, the wine club wines are more, I think a little bit more special occasion. I was actually in our wine club before I started working with Elizabeth Spencer.
Nice.
Yeah, I went out with some friends, and I had never been out to Napa except for work. And I went out with some friends and didn't tell anybody I was in the business. Just kind of, we visited a few places, and Elizabeth Spencer was on our list. And of course, it's so beautiful out there. I just fell in love and joined the club.
Oh, the backyard, that back little sitting, and it's perfect. The whole setting is perfect. I've been to bigger wineries, and I love the intimate setting of the Elizabeth Spencer. And you really do. You guys are great with the price point on all your wines.
Yeah, we've extended our little courtyard back. We've got a big greenway now where you can play like games and stuff.
We're going to actually be in Sonoma in October for a wedding, so we're going to have to go check it out.
Pop over. Yeah, we're located right off of Highway 29 in the old post office.
Awesome. Yeah, we're making a whole week out of it so that we can see as many of the vineyards as possible.
That'll be good.
And we're doing that too. We have a wedding in September, beginning of September.
I know, fingers crossed, right?
Although I don't know if I really want to fly, so we're still playing it by ear. We haven't heard anything.
Mask on, just mask on.
Mask.
And carry the hand sanitizer. Mask on, hand sanitizer.
Some of the airlines are doing it right. I heard that Delta, that's who I fly, is Delta, and they said they're not booking middle seats and 60% occupancy on the flights.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not flying into Midway anymore right now, so that's a challenge.
Well,
Midway, are you on the south side?
Actually, I'm up in Fox Lake at the moment. But I just
Opposite.
yeah, exactly. It's easier to fly out of Midway in general than O'Hare, I think.
Yes.
Agreed. We prefer Midway as well.
So as far as travel goes, I think that the airplanes and the hotel rooms, and especially the restaurants, I think they're way cleaner than they've ever been. I am ready to start traveling again. I don't have any hesitation. I'm just ready for somebody to want me to come.
When do they think they'll allow visits again in California?
July 1st is what we're hoping for, and
Okay.
we think that it's going to be sooner than that.
Should
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah, California's a little slower.
About as slow as Illinois.
I know.
Hey, outdoor dining next Friday.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
We have one tip for everybody that's going to California. If you do go, there's like an open table app for California wineries.
Is there?
Yeah, and it's called Cellar Pass. So cellar, like wine cellar.
Okay.
Oh,
Pass.
Cellar Pass. Oh, that's a.
All one word, CELLARPASS, cellarpass.com. About 70 to 80% of wineries are on Cellar Pass, and you can book your wine tasting adventures directly on Cellar Pass and not have to call the wineries and not have to visit them and email and whatever.
Oh, that's
Love that
Alicia,
idea.
I can't remember if you guys are on Cellar Pass or not, you know?
No idea.
I think you are. I think
The
Elizabeth Spencer
sellers,
is.
the wineries want you to book a reservation, right? They don't want you to
Yes.
show up.
Well, that's the other tip. Yeah, please don't go and just walk in. If you walk in, you're going to be treated like the masses and served some just average wine. But with Cellar Pass, you
We are
can
not
book.
that.
Yeah, Cellar Pass, you can book like a little bit nicer wine tasting, and you have a time, and you walk in, and they'll greet you. So that's the way to do it. Cellarpass.com.
So, oh, and this is what I was going to say. In the beginning, at least in the beginning, it's going to be required to have reservations. You won't be able to just walk in. And that's one of the rules that whoever's making the rules said.
Well, funny story. The governor of California is a winemaker. You probably know.
He is.
His name is Gavin Newsom. And his partner is one of the world's wealthiest individuals named J. Paul Getty. And together they own the Plumjack family of wines. So they own Plumjack, they own Cade, they own Odette, and he's the governor of the state. So he has a soft spot for wineries in Napa. So, and Sonoma. So
Yeah.
Alicia, I agree with you. I think they're going to open way before July 1st.
Well, they've
tasting rooms.
opened some restaurants in California, but not tasting rooms yet. I don't know why they would open restaurants before tasting rooms, especially small ones like us that have the ability to do things a little bit quicker than giant ones.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen in a few more weeks here is my prediction. Mid-June.
Let's hope so.
That'd be great.
So we've only got a few minutes left. What does everybody think about the wines?
Lovely.
Good.
2 thumbs up.
Awesome. I love a full body Pinot. It's great.
Pinot's lovely.
I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up? No?
We're a chatty group.
Have y'all done any of these Zoom wine tastings with other people?
No, it's their first.
Yes.
I've been doing
First
them
time.
all over the country. It's been interesting. I done them in Nebraska and Alabama and Florida and North Carolina. I'm in South Carolina, obviously, but it's definitely an interesting way to see people and meet people.
Is there like big differences between like regions? Like, are there
Yeah,
like
who's
rowdy?
rowdy?
Are there like more
So
conservative?
Nebraska, people have an accent. I wasn't expecting that. And they were like, what are you talking about? We don't have an accent. And Alabama is what I did it with restaurants, wine shops that I've done many tastings with in the past. So it was fun to see familiar faces. And a lot of smaller wine shops that haven't done anything like this before that were surprised at how well it went off. But I've been enjoying them. I do 1 or 2 a week.
You do any in New York State?
Not yet. New York is a little bit slower to open. The city's still on lockdown, and other areas in New York are getting ready to open, I think.
I'm talking upstate.
Yeah.
New York City.
I've sent that email out to my distributors, and nobody's jumped on it yet. But I'm not sure if the accounts are doing it up there or not. I know, like in Missouri, the wine shops wanted to do it themselves and not have special guests. So I don't know. I think it's fun to have different people come in. I've seen some fancy wine people do stuff like this. So it's been interesting, I think.
I think it's great. Hey, Lauren, thank you for having this type of thing.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Actually, big shout out to Lydia. She's done a phenomenal job helping me out on all of this.
Yes.
She's listening. We just can't see her right now. She's
That's
listed
okay.
as Bridget on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah.
And Casey's been great too.
Yes.
Can you show the different people?
Well, just think a week from now, we're going to be doing this in person in a tent on Water Street.
Yes.
So
Yes, let's hope it doesn't flood with all the rain this upcoming week.
I got a quick update on that. You may know that when we built Water Street, we built it 4 feet higher than the north side of the river. And, and for that reason, the entire area of downtown Naperville floods before we do. So
Very smart.
I'm not wishing a flood on downtown Naperville, but if it did happen, we'd be sitting in our tent watching them.
We'll be there too with you.
Is Naperville offering any streets closures so that people can build their alfresco dining on streets?
Great question.
Yeah, great question. We're working with that with the mayor right now on that. Water Street's doing some things. We're not going to close the street, but we're going to close the sidewalk.
Okay.
And then we're doing a bunch of new and different outdoor tent facilities, like the ones at 64 that I described at the beginning of the call. And then there's 2 other streets in Naperville that I think have been approved for a partial closure. But I don't think it's official yet, so I'm not going to say what they are, but there will be some outdoor dining in Naperville that didn't exist before. How about that?
Perfect. My brother's a mayor of a small town in Illinois, and that's something that they were doing, so I was just curious.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. What's really interesting about our mayor and our town of Naperville is they're quite approachable. We got to know him and most of the members of the Liquor Commission, which are all local small business owners, just not in the wine business. And they've been very supportive. I mean, extremely supportive, which has been wonderful.
All of them.
Fantastic.
So I did also want to mention, right when everything started getting shut down, we were actually supposed to do an Elizabeth Spencer wine dinner at 64.
Yes.
I was on board for that.
Yeah, I don't know who was involved in that, but we definitely are going to reschedule that whenever we can get things moving again.
Yes,
we'll
this
be
fall.
first in line.
Let's have a toast to Elizabeth Spencer wine dinner.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
Oh, thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
tonight. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
This
And
was
thank you all
awesome.
for being
Thank you.
here.
Thanks, y'all.
We'll see you in a tent next Friday.
Next one.
Next
Yeah,
week.
have fun.
Be there.
Bye.
Bye, Petties.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye, y'all.